All right. Episode 98, Feeney Talks with Friends. My name is Eric Feeney, founder and president of Friends of Feeney. I use this podcast, Feeney Talks with Friends, and I talk to wonderful people in the community that are doing great things. And today, ladies and gentlemen, Tom Pincince.
Very good.
Pincince.
You're good. Yeah, you're good. You're good.
What's up, Tom?
How we doing?
I'm glad we got to finally meet. We had a little technical difficulty, but Stefania worked it out. Stefania, you're the best. This podcast is all possible because of Dave and Stefania at Direct Line Media. I can't thank them enough. This is episode 98. How do you feel?
There's a lot to live up to get to 98. I'm glad I'm not 100. I think there's a lot of pressure because I heard 100's live. Yes. So I think there's a lot of pressure with
98 stands for wisdom and knowledge. Do you have wisdom and knowledge?
Sure.
Do you know who Jesse Armstead is?
I do know who Jesse Armstead is.
What number did he wear?
Was he 98?
98 for the New York Giants.
That's how you remember stuff. That's how you. So the other day, it was 33 for some reason. So someone said 33, and I said, okay, I just got to, Larry Bird. And we were trying to remember a station we had to put a channel on at one of our games so that we could show another game that was happening, and the station was 33-1, and I said, okay, Larry Bird -1, and they kind of looked at me funny, and I was like, that's how you remember stuff.
Remember forever.
Larry Bird -1.
My locker number from high school, I think, was Larry Bird, 33. I want to say 51, Bernie Williams, and then like 72, Refrigerator Perry.
Yeah.
So you just go back and forth.
I don't use Yankees, but other than that,
all New York.
Other than that, yeah.
Why not Yankees?
Not a Yankee fan. I'm
because you're a Rhode Island guy.
I'm a Rhode Island guy, just like our friend Dooley that was on. Like Dooley and I grew up 10 minutes apart. We didn't meet till we both lived in Connecticut, but we grew up about 10 minutes apart. So I'm a Rhode Island guy. I'm Boston, Red Sox, Bruins, Celtics, Patriots, through and through.
I know we're going to go into your 3 keys to your job, but let's get right into what is a Villanovan?
Oh,
I don't even know what you're a Woonsocket Villanovan.
Yes. Yeah.
Tell us about your time at the Woonsocket Villanovans.
I grew up in Woonsocket, Rhode Island. I am the middle of 3 boys. My parents were born and raised there. We're 100% French-Canadian, big French-Canadian community in Woonsocket.
And I heard the Pincince boys dominated all 3 sports. You guys were all quarterbacks.
We were all quarterbacks. Dominated's not the word. My older brother was very, very good. Played for a state championship his senior year.
Now, was that John or Chris?
Chris. So he's now the head football coach at the University of New Haven. So he went to BU and played football at BU before they dropped football. Played for Tony Sperano, who ended up being the head coach at New Haven, and then went on to be the head coach of the Miami Dolphins and the Los Angeles Raiders at the time, or maybe the Oakland Raiders at the time. He was probably the best athlete of the 3 of us. Very, very good. But we all played football, basketball, baseball. Chris went on to play in college. I played in college, played college football. I think at the time thought I was a lot better than I was, and got better in college. But you have this inflated image of how good you are at that time, and I don't think I was as good as I thought I was. And my younger brother was a good player too. We all played. Now,
which brother went to Stonehill with you?
My younger brother,
because the other guy went to BU. Yep. Now, is this true? 3 boys. Where do you fall in? Middle?
I'm in the middle. Which
one's the toughest? Like, is the big brother the toughest because he got to beat up 2 little guys? Is the little brother toughest because he's got to beat up 2 older?
Or is the middle guy the beating?
He's got to balance himself getting.
I don't know. I'm not sure. We're all very different, but we're all very much the same, but very different. Chris knew he wanted to be a football coach. I didn't know what I wanted to be. My younger brother came to Stonehill. My niece was born when my brother was a freshman at Stonehill, I believe. So he didn't play any sports in college.
Where's Stonehill?
Stonehill's in northeastern Massachusetts. Okay. And they're now a member of our conference at Central Connecticut.
No way.
So it's very strange.
So you go home to play your team.
Yes.
Who do you root for?
I Royal Blue pays the bills is what I say.
Where's your heart?
I think at Central.
Nice.
Yeah.
Good answer.
Yeah.
There's a joke. I have my nephews. I have 3 boys that are nephews. See if you agree or disagree. When your first kid ate dirt, the mom would be like, oh, we got to call the hospital. Oh my God, what's going to happen? You know, the second kid eats dirt. You're like, oh, get some soap. You'll be fine. Go out and play. The third kid eats the dirt. You're like, that's lunch.
Well, and it's the same feeling with pictures, right? The first kid, there's a million pictures.
Yep.
Second kid, there's a little fewer. The third kid, it's like, does anyone have a picture?
Where is this kid?
And I, to be honest with you, I've made, because I have 3 daughters, I've made a conscious effort to make sure that some of those things don't happen. That we have as many pictures of the third as we do the first. That that middle child syndrome, to make sure that that's not happening. And so it's I grew up one of 3 boys, and now I have 3 girls. So it's a little bit different.
That's quite the change.
Yeah.
I know when my girls, I have twin girls, and they would read and color, and then I go to my nephew's house, and they're just fighting, crying, breaking things. The little guy runs up, slaps the older kid, gets beat up, cries, goes to tell mom, immediately runs and hits the brother again. You're like, didn't you learn your lesson? But shout out to my nephews, Santo, Joe, and Nick. I love you guys, little knuckleheads.
I can't imagine. I mean, I tell people that I have 3 daughters, and now they're 20, 18, and 14. And everyone always kind of either sighs or shakes their head and like takes a deep breath. And you say, no, I would not want it any other way.
Yeah.
I don't know any different, but I wouldn't want it.
Girl dad.
Way. Absolutely. 100%.
I love it. Yeah.
100%.
Kobe had 4 girls. Chris Clark was episode 32. I wrote down some guests that had 3 girls. Chris Clark, episode 32, 3 girls. Matt Whitney owns Maximum Beverage, 3 girls. Okay. Irene owns Donut Crazy, 3 girls. Got the theme here. What's some advice with the 3 girls?
As long as they know that you love them, and I think that's the best advice that you can give.
Yeah.
Because like I said, I don't know any different.
Yeah.
But like you mentioned, my 2 brothers, and we grew up and we played every sport imaginable. And my brother played in college, and I played in college. And the best time, and I obviously work in college athletics for a living, so I'm around sports 24/7. The best time that I have around sports is watching my kids play, wherever it is. Yeah. So that's, to me, that's and I've been to a lot of really cool places to watch sports, and it's the best.
You can shout out on the camera too if you want. There you go.
Not with the Yankee hat, no.
Let's go Yankees. I like this guy.
That's twice. We've been talking for 10 minutes, so we've already done.
Give him the Yankee discount.
Yeah. So I think that the best that I've ever is watching my kids play. That's just the best.
And they're talented. They're softball, swimmers.
Softball, swimmers, and Isabella, my oldest, plays volleyball and softball at Western Connecticut.
Oh wow, volleyball too.
Sophia,
and she's a dual athlete.
Yes, yeah. And Sophia, my middle daughter, swims at Central, and Lucy, my youngest daughter, plays softball and swims at Conard.
That's amazing.
And club swimming. And
when my daughters went to my school, it was the best time of my life. I knew I would bring them and pick them up. How's it having your daughter at the same school?
It's great that she can come by if she needs to, and know that I'm there if she needs it. But to watch her grow and become the independent woman that she is incredible. And swimmers might work harder than any other sport out there. And they just came off a month of double sessions where they're swimming, 15,000 yards a day, which is
you're like machines. It's amazing.
Yeah.
And you're chiseled, and your calorie intake is crazy, and you're a machine constantly in the
it's
water.
Cool. It's cool to see. Yeah.
Did you swim?
No.
Can you swim?
I can swim, but I'm not a swimmer. No.
I played basketball at the JCC men's over 30 on Wednesdays, and I would always see your kids for years. I've been in the league for 15 years, and for those 15 years, I would see your guys.
Lucy's still there.
Nice.
Swimming out when high school season's over, swimming there, and with the same group that she's been with for a long time. And when I sit there and wait to pick her up on Wednesdays because she swims from 7 to 9, I see all the
That's
high school heroes come out, and that stuff scares me. I'm afraid to get hurt.
No, I saw your jump shot in the driveway. It's pretty good.
I can shoot.
I
I shouldn't say I can shoot.
I scouted
I'm
you.
still athletic, but I'm afraid to get hurt. I'm just afraid to get hurt.
That jump shot in the driveway will get you at least 12 to 15 points a game at the JCC. I promise you.
I don't know. I see some of the guys going in there, and I guess it depends what league you're playing in.
So every team has 2 studs, absolute studs. They're 30. They play college hoop.
You're required to have the 48-year-old
and then there's
person on the team.
45-year-old still living the dream, me. Then you got some guys that maybe should just hang it up, and they're just playing for exercise, So, and the team is of 8. 5 people have to play at a time, and you mix and match.
All right.
I think you'd be perfect.
Yeah, and I'm still afraid to get hurt. I started doing pickleball about a year ago.
Listen, a lot of people get hurt playing pickleball too.
So, but I don't play across the street from our neighborhood because there's too many people.
It's pretty packed.
Yeah.
Do you go to Buena Vista?
So sometimes we'll play indoors at Central in the rec center, or we'll go to New Britain and go to I can't think of the park's name that we go to.
Keeley?
No, the big one.
Feeney?
Big one in the middle of town.
I know.
But there's nobody there. So it's great.
I mean, I would be happy
Walnut
to
Hill.
play you.
Walnut Hill.
I have my New York Giants paddle. I got it from Racket Coop. Shout out to Racket Coop down on New Britain Avenue.
So I put it off for a long time.
You can also blow out a knee playing pickleball.
Oh, yeah.
Because
Oh, yeah.
when you try to stop to stay out of the kitchen, that's dangerous.
Yeah.
When you run
But
full
that'll
speed,
be my fault. That won't be somebody else's fault. So when
good
I
point.
finished, so I played Division II college football. I was okay.
Quarterback at Stonehill,
I was
too?
a quarterback, yep. And then after my senior year, my coach came in and said, hey, there's a semi-pro football team that's looking for somebody to play, and they need a quarterback. Would you like to go play? And I said, no, I'm done.
You don't want to give it not even a chance?
Not football, no way. I don't need the 40-year-old guy taking out my knees and
crushed by it.
Just no. I had enough injury problems while I was playing. We didn't need to keep going.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Now, what's more impressive? Parents being married 50 plus years, or a brother that ran 70 miles in a day?
Well, he didn't finish what he was trying to do that day either. So he turned into a runner. My younger brother John turned into a runner 10 or 12 years ago.
Wow.
And now runs, every single day. And then for his, I want to say it was, so I'm 48, so he's 46. So I think maybe for his 43rd or 44th birthday, maybe his 45th birthday, he wanted to run this trail in Rhode Island that goes from the top of Rhode Island to the bottom. And I think it's 80 plus miles in one day. So, and he was going to do it on his birthday. So he had people to run with him kind of every step of the way. My older brother actually went and ran with him in one of the legs, and he got to, I think, 72 or 73 miles, and it had gotten dark, and he couldn't go anymore. And I think my father and my brother's wife, my sister-in-law, actually said, like, you got to be done. That's it. You got to be done. And he actually ended up in the hospital that night.
Leg injury or just
dehydration?
Yeah.
And he had a plan. He had a really good plan, but 70 plus miles, even the best plan is not going to go. So he does ultra marathons, and still running. Yep. He does ultra marathons, and he's very captivated with, so our men's track and cross country coach at Central, Eric Blake, who also lives in West Hartford, he lives right next to Cornerstone, is one of the best mountain runners in the world, and has won the Mount Washington road race, which goes up. I don't know if you've ever driven up Mount Washington.
Yeah, I see the bumper stickers.
I've never driven up there, but it's about 7 miles from bottom to top, but the elevation change is insane. So Eric has won that race. So a good time in that race is a what you would run a half marathon in, or something along those lines. So for your average runner, it's probably
2 hours,
an hour and a half to 2 hours. Well, Eric wins against some of the best competition in the world, and so my brother started doing some of those type of similar things. But so that's impressive. I mean, my parents have been married for over 50 years, high school sweethearts, and raised 3 boys and 10 grandchildren, and still live in Rhode Island.
That's an impressive feat.
Yeah, it's not easy. Right? It's not easy to stay married for that long.
And your dad was your coach?
My dad coached a lot of little league, never school sports, but little league and like youth basketball, CYO basketball, those kind of things. We played in our CYO basketball facility. The ceilings were about 15 feet high. So you couldn't take a jump shot. You couldn't take a shot outside of the key. And it was line drives. And if you ever notice, like my jump shot has always been flat. And it's probably because we played in that.
Do you have the Larry Bird above the head a little bit or no?
No. I hit a 3 today before I left the office. I walked in the gym and somebody threw me a ball, but it's great because I can get up from my desk and go and grab a ball and go shoot some free throws or go do something, just like go walk around the track or go do something to. Yeah,
that must be. I'm so jealous. Your office and where you go to work every day is an athletic, establishment, like a facility, a compound. And you could just shoot jumpers before you leave. So you must have a pretty nice jumper.
Not really.
I wouldn't challenge you to out or horse.
Yeah, no, not really. I can do my signature shot, if that's what you want to call it, is backwards from half court.
Half court.
From half court. So I'll send you the video.
Out of 10,
you can
how many can you make?
Out of 10?
Or how many times it take to hit one?
It depends. Depends how much I've been doing it. The other day it took me, before one of our games, I think it took me maybe 6 or 7 to do it.
And you have video?
I have some video of it. I have a really cool one of holding the phone while I'm doing it. Yeah.
We're going to insert it in the.
But that's it. That's my claim to fame.
So let's get into that. You're the athletic director at Central Connecticut State University. That's an amazing job. Can you tell us a little bit? If you're talking to a third grader, explain what you do.
What do I do? I help put people in place to do their jobs at Central. So our coaches, staff, student athletes. We have 16 sports, 425 plus student athletes. Started working there 22 years ago. Had the opportunity to become the AD 4 years ago when our AD at the current time left. So I spent 2 years as the interim and then became permanent just about 2 years ago. So 4 years as the AD. It's a lot of budgeting, a lot of hiring of coaches, making sure our teams have what they need to be successful, whether it's in the classroom, on the court, in the community, which are the 3 things that we highlight and we talk about all the time. They're student athletes, so they're students first, making sure they have what they need to be successful in the classroom, making sure that they understand that their number one goal at Central is to leave with a degree. Sometimes that means transferring somewhere else, which is fine. But leaving with a degree and using your ability as an athlete to help get that degree. So, not all of our student athletes are scholarship student athletes, but many are, and making sure they take advantage of that and understand the opportunity that they have in front of them to get that college degree. And then to help set them up to be successful once they're done, making sure that they're successful. We have a lot of first generation students who may not have the opportunity to go to college if it wasn't for their athletic ability. So helping them and making sure that they can be successful while they're there. And, if I'm doing my job well, then everybody else is able to do their job well. And where, budgeting is big for us, making sure that we put the money in the right places for everyone to be successful. And that's probably our biggest challenge, year in and year out.
Now, is that budgeting like travel, schedule, paying coaches,
scholarships, travel, per diems when teams are on the road, making sure that we're bringing in enough revenue to help support what we're doing, whether that's through donations or some of our teams will play what we call buy games, and you'll play a team and get paid to play that game. We played UConn in football 2 years ago. We play them again in 25. Next year, we'll play a couple of those games for football where we can make some money to help, offset the costs that we have to run the department. And it's buses are crazy expensive, travel's expensive, hotels are expensive, food's expensive. Making sure they have the gear that they need and the uniforms that they need in order to participate, and little things like our baseball and softball teams will start playing in a month. Well, it's freezing when they start playing in a month, so making sure they have the gear that they need to, and then
get them some warm weather gear.
Yeah, big jackets, big sweatshirts, things to help them get through.
Is there an indoor facility for baseball?
We right now use our rec center they'll hit in the rec center and do some work in the rec center. They may go off campus to a couple of indoor places to help us get through the right now where it's freezing outside and there's ice on the field, and we can only plow so often. And I don't want to plow on a Friday if it's going to snow again on a Monday. I think it's not a good use of our money and our budget.
Okay.
So, and then there's a new place that just opened up in Windsor. A friend of mine opened up it's called the Day Hill Dome, and some of our teams will go up and practice inside in Windsor. So we have vans that they can travel in and go up there, or we have to get buses to travel in and go up there. So it adds up real quick. So we need to make sure that we can bring in enough revenue to help offset those costs, to make sure we're not operating at a deficit, and that we balance that budget.
And then you can also earn money bringing in fans, selling swag.
Yeah. So we have an online store that will help with our licensing dollars and making some money. We'll sell tickets for football and men's basketball right now.
So is that when like Appalachian State beat Michigan, were they considered like a bye?
Oh yeah, they got paid to play that
bye
game.
team. It's called.
Yeah.
I never knew that.
Yeah. So
it's
they
like
got
a practice
paid. They got
team
paid to play that. No, it's not practice. It's still two Division I teams playing each other, but it's an opportunity for some of our kids to go places that maybe they won't have gone before. We've been to we played basketball games at Arizona State and Indiana, which is the coolest place I've ever been, or play at UConn, or play some of those teams. Like this year we played UMass, URI, Fordham, and Boston College. So those are our 4 games that our men's basketball team got paid to go play.
Oh wow!
And we beat Fordham.
Nice.
So it's nice.
Did you play that in Fordham?
Yeah. So they'll pay us to go there. So it's nice to have those games, and then it's nice to go and win those games too.
That's impressive.
So, yeah.
And that's Coach Sellers.
Coach Sellers, our third-year men's basketball coach, former Central student athlete, was an assistant coach when I started there 22 years ago, and then went to a whole bunch of other places like UMass and UConn and Creighton, and over to China for a little while. And
wow.
He was an assistant at Fairfield 3 years ago, and we were looking for a coach. And I made the decision that I thought he was going to be best for our program, and we're in, as of this taping right now, we're in first place in the league, and we're 4-1 in the conference. We play Thursday night, Saturday this week coming up, and he's put together a really good team this year, full of good. I say kids all the time, but good young men and student athletes who are doing the right thing, like you say, in the classroom, on the court, and in the community.
Scholar athletes. Yeah,
they are, and it's I say student athletes, and I say it all the time, and sometimes people roll their eyes or do it, but they're true. Our men's basketball program just put together a GPA of over 3.0 for the fall semester, and all of our student athletes, all 400 plus, were 3.07 for the fall, which is phenomenal for our kids.
Wow. That's something to be very proud of. I like that.
Yeah.
Student first, athlete second.
Yeah, and they do a good job. They do.
I'm proud of the swag. Thank you again. It was great.
I think 75% of my wardrobe is royal blue. I think we might have the same
nice.
thing. Yeah.
When can we get a bus full of Friends of Feeney kids over to a game? We would love to have that.
Just let me know, and we'll get it done.
I know we missed the Midday field trip.
That was awesome.
I know. How was that?
It was awesome. We had about 1,100 New Britain school kids.
Wow.
So we do a lot with it. We do a lot with New Britain Public Schools, being from New Britain. A lot like the Read Across America days and those kind of things. And we had about 1,100 school kids in there for a women's game against Colgate, and the women won. And they did. The atmosphere was phenomenal, because a lot of times in those games, like if you go to the Yard Goats and you see those games happen, no one's paying attention to the game.
Yeah.
These kids paid attention to the game. They cheered. They did the defense chants. They cheered when we scored. They weren't excited when the other team scored.
Nice.
And our women's team played really well, and they won that day. So it was
felt
really
the energy,
cool.
felt the juice
really
inside.
Cool. Yeah.
That's
I was
awesome.
a little nervous going in whether it was going to work for us or not, but it was great. They did a good job.
Sounds like a great day. Yeah, we would love to go and attend. Yeah. So we have sponsors: Brook Golf. We're here at $9.99 Luna Pizza. We're gonna get into some wings and pizza soon. The Fix IV, Donut Crazy, Weha Roasting and Brewing, Keating Agency, West Hartford Lock. So with that being said, what are 3 keys that make you great at being an athletic director? What are 3 keys that are?
I don't know about great. You need to remember that it's about the student athletes and it's about the people. And I think that one of the hardest jobs is managing all the different people that we have, and just making sure they have what they need to be successful, because it's not always easy, and maybe sometimes you're not always in agreement on what you need to be successful. So I think number 1, just remember it's about the people. Number 2, I'm a big communication guy, and I will pick up the phone and call, or I will go see you in your office and talk to you, because I don't want things to not happen because we somehow lack the communication that we needed to get it done. 3, I think you have to have a passion for the student athletes to be successful, to see them succeed and be passionate about it. And, like you said, it's a great job, and, your office is next to the car, because everyone thinks, it's sports, so it's like the greatest job. Yeah. But there are days when
you're like a PE teacher.
There are days when you go. Oh, yeah. There are days when you go home and you just think, like, what am I doing? Like, what's going on? Because it's it has its challenges, just like every job, and everything's not always everything's not always roses. It's.
Would you consider, like, in the education realm, are you the principal of the education department? Do you oversee, and then your coaches are the teachers?
Probably. Yeah, I think so. Because then I have a boss who would be the superintendent, and
yep.
He has a boss who would be the mayor, which is our president. And I think that's good. That's
good analogy.
Yeah.
So, do you have a favorite sport, or what's leading the way? It's tough. Not favorite per se. Personally, I'm guessing your favorite sport would be football because you played growing up.
I'm a football fan. Yeah. I don't have a favorite. Like, I enjoy when the Olympics come around this summer. I enjoy the track and field and swimming, and everyone gets into swimming and they become an expert during the Olympics, and then they kind of don't think about it for 3 years. Our men's and women's basketball programs, I love being a part of it. But I like watching my girls play, whatever it is. And I've never pushed them into something. We just said, they don't have to play sports, but you have to do something. You're not just going to sit around. And my youngest plays the guitar, and she'll go down to the basement and play the guitar and do things down there.
It's so funny. No matter what your kid is interested in, you're fully invested.
Absolutely.
Like, my kid played tennis, showed a little interest. I got the ball thing that picks him up, the metal thing. One kid liked softball, so I got the tee and the net that you hit it into. Golf clubs, riflery, basketball. I drove to Enfield. My daughter was like, "Dad, don't go to Enfield. I'm coming off being sick. I'm not going to play a lot. We're going to get beat," just like kind of negative. And I was like, no, you only have them for a certain amount of time.
Yeah.
My kid played limited minutes, but scored buckets and played well. And it was just like, there's nothing better than watching your kids play a sport.
Yeah. And I usually like to go and sit by myself, and I try not to wear anything so that maybe somebody doesn't know what I do for a living, and they'll just kind of let me watch my daughters. And because if I come right from work, so my first problem is if I come right from work and it's a Connor game, I'm wearing royal blue.
Don't show up in Connor looking like that.
But again, I say royal blue pays the bills, so it's okay. But I usually like to kind of sit there because I'm always willing to answer questions about what recruiting is like and how to get recruited and those kind of things. But there are some times where I just want to kind of sit and watch my kids play.
Yeah. Now, some famous alums. You got Miguel Cardona, the Secretary of Education.
Of Education. He is a Central undergrad graduate.
Working on to get him a guest. He's working on.
Okay. He comes to campus a few times a year.
Wonderful person.
Yeah.
Yeah. He was principal of the year at like 28 years old. Just an amazing human being from Meriden. The New Britain mayor,
Erin Stewart.
She's
a grad. She's also on the Board of Regents now for the CSCU system.
Very cool.
Yeah. She's
John
great.
Larson.
Congressman Larson. Yeah. Saw him last year at one of our Hall of Fame banquets. One of his former teammates and classmates got into our Hall of Fame, and he came in. Oh, you're gonna put me on the spot. I don't remember.
Who were some other famous alums?
Ricky Batalico. Remember Ricky Batalico?
Yeah, where did he play?
He played for the Phillies. He's now a Phillies broadcaster. He played baseball at Central.
That's right.
Scott Pioli, former GM of the Patriots.
Okay.
Is a Central grad. Mike Sherman, former head coach of the Green Bay Packers.
All right.
Is a Central grad. Dave Campo, former head coach of the Dallas Cowboys. So there was a time where Mike Sherman and Dave Campo were the head coach of the Dallas Cowboys and the Green Bay Packers at the same time.
That's huge.
And they were both Central grads. And then Scott, of course, worked with Bill Belichick to develop the Patriots when Belichick first got there. So there are, and I will tell you, in all my travels and everywhere that we've gone, everywhere we go, we run into somebody who either went to Central or knew somebody who went to Central.
Oh, of course.
Everywhere. When we used to travel a lot more with basketball and Coach Howie Dickerman when he was our coach, and he was very recognizable, and people would come up to him all the time. I saw you play here. I saw you do this. Or, when you were at UConn, I saw this. Or when you played at Central, I saw this. So he's an alum too.
How's Howie doing?
Good. He was just there on our last home game last Friday night. He was there.
Nice.
So he still comes by. You see him sitting in practice. Howie and our former athletic director, CJ Jones, will sit at practice and, give their 2 cents to Coach Sellers and let them know what they think about what's going on. But it's fun. We're starting to play really, really well, and the crowds are starting to get back to where they were when I first got there.
It's good to hear. I know you put in work as a sports info director, right?
So that was how I got started in college athletics. So I graduated in 1997 from Stonehill, and I was a communication major. Didn't really know what I wanted to do. I had helped out in the sports information department in college, and my brother was actually an assistant coach at Fairfield when Fairfield had football. And he said, hey, our SID, our sports information director, is looking for an intern. Would you be interested in doing it? And I didn't know what I was going to do at the time, so I went down there. I did that for about 15 months. Then I got the SID job at the University of New Haven when I was 23 or 24. Thought I knew what I was doing, really didn't. Learned the hard way on the fly. Tony Sparano was our head coach at the time, and I had known Coach Spo since my brother had played for him at BU. I was there for 2 years, got the same job at the University of Hartford. So I was there for 2 years. Jen Rosati won our first championship at Hartford during that time. And then the job opened at Central. My wife and I got married in 2002. And I applied for the job before we got married. Didn't hear anything. And it's like, all right, I guess it's not going to work out. And we got married, went on a honeymoon, came back, and then I got a phone call to interview for the job. And I started there August of 2002 as an assistant athletic director, handling all the media relations, and was fortunate to work for a couple ADs that gave me more responsibility as the years went along. So I was able to oversee teams, and we have administrators that are in charge of certain teams, and I was able to oversee men's basketball and baseball, and 2 teams that were very, very successful, and just kind of learn more about the business as we were going on. And in 2019, December 2019, one morning I woke up and I had a missed phone call from my boss at the time, who was our athletic director, and it was very, very early in the morning. So when those phone calls happen, something is wrong. So I tried to call him back. He didn't answer. So I called his boss. Didn't answer. So I knew something was going on, and found out in the next couple hours that he was leaving to take another job. We met with a bunch of us in the conference room, and our boss at the time said, all right, we need somebody to take over and become the interim. And if you're interested, let me know. So I talked to my wife and I said, all right, I'm interested. And I had been interested in the job a couple of years before that. It just didn't work out. And I said, okay, I'm interested. I'd like to do it. So we sat with the president and our boss at the time and explained why I thought I was ready for it. And they called me that night and said, we'd like to offer you the job as the interim AD. And then 2.5 months later, COVID hit, which was, one of the first big things I had to do as AD was stand in front of our spring student athletes. And I can still remember they were sitting in the visitor bleachers of our football stadium and tell them that we were going to take a 2-week break. 2 weeks is what we thought. And we were one of the first schools to do it, to say, okay, we need to take a break and see what happens. And that was one day. The next night was Rudy Gobert testing positive in the NBA and the world pretty much shutting down. So within 36 hours, everyone else was doing it too. But standing in front of that group to tell them we were going to take 2 weeks off and not knowing what was going to happen was one of the most difficult things I had to do. And I was doing it as the interim AD 2.5 months after I started.
It's a tough position to be in.
So that's a long answer to your sports info question. That's
great.
how I got where I am.
You've been there for 22 years.
Yeah, I just hit 22, or I'm in my 22nd year. So now.
You're blue and all through and through.
Yeah, it's a great place to be. It's offered me, the opportunity, that is presented to me and my family, and the opportunity for us to live in West Hartford, for my kids to go to school in West Hartford, which is why we live here.
Yep.
And it's been great. And
I'm with you. We had a counselor of the year, Destiny Johnson from Hyde Meadow Day Camp. Yeah. She swam at your school.
She did.
How's she doing? She
graduated. She was great. She's graduated now. Destiny was awesome.
She was a fantastic counselor.
Everything that we look for our student athletes to be, and most of them are. Of our 425 student athletes, they represent us tremendously well, whether in the community or doing other things, and they love to wear their gear. So they always, they have their gear.
I think I saw her with the gear on. Phenomenal counselor, first year counselor, won counselor of the year, or earned counselor of the year at High Meadow Day Camp. I've been going into my 10th summer there. My girls love it. It's a wonderful spot in North Granby, but she shined, and I could just imagine her as one of those student athletes that you talk about, just a good person, on and off, or in and out of the pool.
And she comes back to. I think she was just there on Friday night, supporting the team in their their meet that they had on Friday night. I texted her for some anecdotes or funny stories. She didn't get back to me. I don't think we probably don't have much, the two of us, but she was great.
And I also text Dooley. Dooley said, make sure you ask him about wound socket.
Dooley was a Lincoln guy. So Dooley, again, I didn't know him until Dooley was our radio guy for 1 or 2 years when I first got to Central.
Okay.
Before he went over to that other school.
I was wondering how that connection. It was funny. I did the podcast, 96. Go back and check it out. Next thing you know, I'm on a text chat with you. And I was like,
well, I was home one day and it was like, you know what, I'm going to listen to this one and see how it goes. And so that's why I started texting the two of you guys. But yeah, that was Dooley.
Fun. And then I got a mail the other day because I saw that he went to St. Joe's. I'm like, he went to it's St. Joseph's in Maine.
Yeah.
And now my daughters are getting all these letters, and I got one from St. Joseph's in Maine.
It's just getting started. My daughter's a freshman at Central, and she's still getting stuff telling her she should apply to this school. In this school,
so
and that
many.
school.
I guess they put their name on this one website, and now we get flooded.
And it also depends.
And now I have twins, so I give them 2 of each school.
It depends what you check on the box too when you're taking the SATs, and whether you want mail or not. And yeah,
I'm like, come on. But I had to take a picture of that one. So St. Joe's, never heard of the school before. 2 weeks later, I get mail from it. So I was like, text you guys.
Yeah.
You were like, they let anyone in that school. It was great. Dave from Fresh Ink said hello. I know the Austin crew. You guys run in the same circle.
Dave does a lot of work. Some work for us at Central too. He actually does our swimming shirts when the swimming will go out to the championship. So he'll do all their shirts.
Oh, nice.
And
the Nike ones.
He'll do some of those, and they'll do certain slogans on the back, and they'll use a different shirt for every day of the championships when they go to the championships out in Ohio the 3rd week of February. But he does a lot of that for us. And David, the Austins and I, and our families played softball forever.
Yeah, they said they don't. Now that the kids are older, it's more of a drop off. Not when they were younger, it was more of a hangout.
His Lucy and my Lucy are best friends.
Good kids.
They happen to have the same first and middle name.
Middle name too?
Yeah, they're both Lucy Kate.
Yes, thank you. No, it's great stuff. So our motto is be a good friend. Pick up trash, hold the door, give a compliment. What makes Dooley a good friend?
Dooley's as loyal as can be. He's just a great guy. He's as genuine a person as you can know. Like, he's just a great guy. And
you're not just saying this because you're both from Rhode Island.
No. I don't think
Rhode Island guys got to be tight.
Yeah. Well, there's only a few of us. It's so small, right? I think it's just that's what everybody thinks. So it's funny. Like where I'm from is as north in Rhode Island as you can get, and we used to play. Rogers High School is in Newport, Rhode Island, and so our longest trip ever when you play a game was like 40 minutes.
Yeah, right here.
Be like, man, we have to travel 40 minutes for tonight's game. Like that's a long time.
40 minutes, that's pretty far. But can't you leave the state in 40 minutes?
Oh yeah, yeah.
So I know you like the cheese. I thought you were a meat lovers guy, but you said you're trying to.
I am, but I
it's a New Year's resolution.
Last New Year's, so I got some test results that weren't great and had to change. Had to start taking care of myself, which wasn't necessarily a priority for 20 years. So one of those is diet.
How you doing?
Because diet was my biggest problem. Because where we live, so going to Central, right? I'm only 3 miles from work, but I can go. You can go to five different Dunkin' Donuts without going out of your way.
Pretty much.
It used to be more, but one of them.
You take a right off of our street and go down that way?
I take a right and I jump on the highway real quick and go that way. But if you go the back way, you can go to 5 different ones, because I can also go the Mall Road and go to that one. That's in the gas station there, or it's actually 4 now because one of them closed.
Down
as
near
you head to
Hartford.
Newington, it's now the chicken place.
Yeah.
Rockin' Chicken.
Have you been there?
No.
I've never. Yeah.
But I would, sausage, egg, and cheese in the morning on the way to work, go grab a coffee with a couple donuts, and it caught up. So I had to change what I do. So.
Oh, what about? I know you're a big New Britain guy. We're going to get into the recommendation. We're going to recommend Luna Pizza. We're here at $9.99. I recommend the no cheese. I like the no cheese.
No cheese? No, you got to have some kind of cheese.
And then, what about New Britain guy? Roly Poly. I just went to Roly Poly.
I don't know that.
What?
No.
Roly Poly Deli. It's a Polish deli. It's right over by the Dunkin' Donuts, right over by the Jump Zone.
Over in the industrial park area.
Yeah, it's Little Poland. There's a sign that says
that's
Little
why
Poland.
Alvarium Brewery
Is that there?
is over there. Yeah,
I've never been to there, but
that's a great place. They're a sponsor of ours, so it's great.
This Roly Poly was one of the best delis I've ever been. I got kibasi, pierogies, these donuts. With
so there's
jelly
there's a place right near there called Veggie World.
Veggie Roll?
Veggie World, which you would never like. It's more of a supermarket, but in the back there's the deli, and the sandwiches are at least like 1.5 feet long. They're massive. So they're not a sponsor, so you can edit that out if you want.
I highly recommend Roly Poly.
Okay.
You have any recommendations? Podcasts?
I'm
stores?
podcast recommendations. Well, we talked earlier. I only listen to 2. I'm afraid to get. It's just like TV shows, and I'm afraid to get into them too much because then I know that I need to watch it. Or I was that way with Ozark during the pandemic. I think I watched the whole thing in 2 days.
I kind of stopped watching when they bought the casino. Or not the casino, like the ferry boat casino.
Yeah.
And
And
I was
then
like, come on now. What else is this
and
guy
then I
going to
started
do?
Suits a couple weeks ago, but I'm not sold on that one yet. But
Yellowstone?
Yellowstone.
Wow.
Yeah.
Any of the other ones, 1883 or
No, I haven't
1923?
watched any of the other
I heard those are even better.
Are they? I did Yellowstone. My wife and I watched the first one. She didn't really like it, so then I was kind of watching it myself. So if she's at work and there's nobody else around, I'll watch it.
I really like Yellowstone.
But as far as podcasts, there's two. I love Smartless. Love Smartless. So Jason Bateman, Will Arnett, and Sean Hayes.
They're funny.
And somebody actually turned me on to it about a year ago. And I was in Ohio for the swim championships, so I had an 8-hour ride back. So I started listening to it, and then I'm a big fan of the Kelsey Brothers and New Heights podcast. So
Yuri, hold on, come on, Yuri, come on in real quick. Let's hop in real quick. West Hartford Lock, Yuri right here. Say what's up,
everyone.
Episode 40.
We'll see you soon at the 100th episode.
100th episode, February 12th. Yeah. Thank you so much. Great to see you. He is the CEO with Eric Brown, sponsor.
There you go. I don't remember who did our locks when we moved into our house.
Got to see Yuri and Eric Brown, West Hartford Lock. Over there by Shield Street. Over by, let's see, I got the whole thing here. Yuri, 11 Sherman Street, 860-236.
I don't know streets.
0671.
I'm not from here, so I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know streets.
By Weehaw Roasting and Brewing. So they're also good sponsors. Boom. My guy Cody. Sorry, I had to say what's up there. I like that guy a lot. I just saw him. We did West Hartford Chamber of Commerce. Shout out to them. Huge. Pretty much catapulted Friends of Feeney with the connections I've made. I met Donut Crazy. I met Luna Pizza, the Fix IV. The list goes on and on. I met the West Hartford Lock. They do a chamber event, and we just did it at XL Fitness over on New Park, like 3 buildings down before Hot Basil. Jeff Rue, great guy. So Yuri and I, of course, it's XL Fitness. They had snacks, grinders, food and drink, and then there's a chin-up bar. So, of course, Yuri and I had to get into a chin-up contest. And if you go to the Instagram page, you could see that Yuri are more strict than mine. And I'm kipping my feet. But he won. So Yuri, that you just saw, he was also in the Army National Guard, just like me.
So that's where my chin-up story is going to come in. When I was an intern at Fairfield, a football team went out to the University of San Diego to play football. And the naval, like the Navy SEAL area in San Diego is right there. So we went to go visit, and you see the obstacle course that they do, and then they have the square with all the chin-up bars around it, and the DOR bell if you're gonna like old officer and a gentleman gonna ring the bell and DOR. So one of the officers was talking to our kids, and he said, okay, they were football players and they thought they were really strong, right? And he said, I want everybody to jump on a chin-up bar, and I'm gonna start doing chin-ups. So he started doing chin-ups, and he was talking to the guys, and he just kept going and going and going and going, and the big linemen were dropping like flies, and the skill guys were dropping like flies, and he just kept going. It was one of the most impressive things I've ever seen. I think he could have gone all day, and just wasn't breathing heavy, wasn't tired, but just the physical nature of what he was doing was unbelievable. I don't think I can do anything.
I do 20 chin-ups every Monday on recess duty at Wolcott School on the playscape. I started off the year doing 3.
My kids were there.
Then I got to 11.
I think my kids were there when that playscape was built.
The new one? There's a new one.
Is there a new one? I haven't been there. No.
So yeah, you probably remember the original one, but there's a nice, like a brand new one. Just got it, so fairly new.
It's been a while since my kids were at Wolcott.
Good old Wolcott. All right, so we're eating at Luna Pizza, $9.99. What do you think of the pizza?
Oh, we love Luna Pizza. It's my daughter Sophia said this afternoon it's her favorite pizza, and this place was great for us. We come here every time there's a Conard fundraiser. A lot of times, especially Safegrad, they'll donate back to the Safegrad. Our team will do a fundraiser here, so we'll come here every time. And then during the pandemic, I think it was Thursday nights, we would come here and it was chicken parm and pasta and the rolls, and you would, it was inexpensive to come and get it, but you didn't have to cook because there just wasn't a lot of places get food at that point in time. And we're also a big Angelina's family.
Those big slices.
And the biggest slice in the world, right? You get two for it.
Two for it.
So we're big. Pizza. We're big on that. And but during the pandemic, like some things just changed. But here, like the chicken parm and the pasta,
you get like a tray
unbelievable.
That fed the whole family
Oh, yeah.
for a decent price.
Oh, yeah.
You can't beat it.
Oh, yeah.
No, Alex is great. Episode 70. Alex McDonald. I do a pizza review. I cook pizza. I like the baked potato pizza. Riley Fox never had a baked potato pizza. I had it on his episode. I think he was 83, 73, 83. But great pizza. So, favorite restaurant? There's a follow-up question. Maybe it's in Rhode Island. Maybe it's in West Hartford.
My favorite restaurant.
Maybe it's in New Britain.
I don't know if I have we have a couple of staples in the house because there's 5 of us. So there's only so many places you can go to where everyone likes something there. One is Beachland, and it's right down the road, so It's nice. This is not a West Hartford place, but it's another pizza place, Naples Pizza in Farmington. Is like 2 Caesar salads and a pizza. We just did it. We're taping this on a Tuesday. We just did it on Sunday, I think, or nice. Saturday. And large cheese, large pepperoni, 2 Caesar salads, and
can't beat it.
Yeah. So he's a West Hartford guy.
Naples
that owns Naples. And,
nice.
On the Hall side of town, and our daughters played softball in the West Hartford Girls Softball League for a while.
Very cool. All right, so you're at Beachland Tavern. There's the general manager's Melissa Waterbury, and from Waterbury, so every time I see her, I'm like, Waterbury, Melissa. Anyway, so you're at Beachland. You could eat with 4 guests, dead or alive. Who are you eating with?
Oh, jeez. 4.
Athletes, poets.
That's a lot of people.
Musicians, whatever you want to do.
Well, we'll do. My first one would be my grandfather on my mother's father, who I was the first grandchild born after he passed away. He was the chief of police of our hometown in Woonsocket. They took a trip to Canada, and he had a heart attack and passed away. And then I was either the first or the second grandchild born after he passed away. So the opportunity to eat with him and see him, because then my grandmother lived till 92, so she lived another 30 years without my grandfather.
Yeah.
She was a little French Canadian fireball. Like you didn't mess around with Midday. I don't really get starstruck, and I don't really have this desire to meet famous people other than like Springsteen can come. he can come to that dinner.
I knew Springsteen would be an answer based on my failed attempt of the 96 music with Dooley, and I was like, I'm going to do 98 music with you, and you were like, not unless Springsteen.
I'm not going to know many other songs
Springsteen
besides that. So he would be one. He might be the maybe I'd be starstruck at that point in time. It doesn't. I don't know who else is coming. I'm not sure. I've had the opportunity to meet like a lot of great people. When I was at Hartford, Casey Jones, the former Celtics coach, was one of our radio broadcasters with Dan Lovallo, who is the guy who does the games with Jeff Dooley now. We spent a week in Vegas with Casey and Dan Lovallo and our basketball team when I was at Hartford, and walking around with him was just unbelievable because people just knew him as the Celtics coach, and the Larry Bird and Robert Parrish and Kevin McHale eras. And, Bird can probably come.
I think he's the first African American coach in basketball, right? Casey Jones.
I'm not sure about.
Was it in the 70s?
If that's true, I'm not sure when he became coach of the Celtics. But what I would tell you is he played at San Francisco with Bill Russell, and for him to tell stories about what it was like as a college basketball player and being African American at that point in time, you just have a hard time believing that the world was that way at that point in time. They couldn't stay in certain places. They couldn't eat in certain places with their team. And to sit there and listen to him tell stories. And then he was also a singer. He actually lived in West Hartford when he was working at the University of Hartford before he passed away. He was a singer, so we were sitting at a jazz bar in Vegas, and this is forever ago, so I was 25 years old, right? And I'm traveling around with Casey Jones, who was the coach of the team that I was a fan of when I was a kid, and the guy who was at the bar and singing at the time called him up to go sing, and he sang Georgia on My Mind or whatever. It's
Ray Charles.
It starts up with Georgia,
yeah,
and he sang. It was one of the coolest things I've ever seen.
Yeah, Georgia.
Just to have him step up and do it, and for people to realize who he was. Right?
Now, is he 6'8" or taller?
No, he wasn't that tall. He was a
6'6"
guard, I think. So
he's a guard.
Yeah. So he was with Sam Jones and Bill Russell and those teams back in the 60s.
Stefania, can you look up first African American coach in the NBA? Please.
Maybe he might have been.
I got it. Fact check. All right, so you got.
So who we got? We got my grandfather,
Springsteen,
Larry Bird.
Bird.
I'll take Bird. So the Sports Illustrated, laid off everybody this week, or and now they come out and say, well, it's not really what we're doing, but one of my favorite SI covers is Bird when he's got his Indiana State, and we talked about it earlier.
No?
I think his two cheerleaders on the side of him or something along those lines, and he's got the. Well, you were right.
Bill
Okay.
Russell.
So Russell was a player coach at the time.
For the Celtics.
So yeah. Yeah. So Russell was a player coach.
Okay, player coach.
When Red Auerbach retired, I think Russell became the player coach at that point in time, and I think it's probably still when Casey was playing and Sam Jones and those guys. So I need one more person.
I have the Larry Bird shrine.
My wife can come. How about that?
Yeah.
My wife can come.
Smart answer.
Come to dinner. Yeah, she might not want to with Springsteen, Larry Bird, and my grandfather there, but she can come.
She might not get a word in, but you guys.
Yeah.
Then, are you also still doing the internet safety talks?
So
because that was really impressive.
I don't, because I don't have the time that I did then. But I eventually will get back into whether it's that or something to go out. And so people don't like to public speak. I'm more than happy to do it. I'm comfortable with it. I actually teach at Central. I teach public speaking every semester. And so how it happened and we had someone come in and talk to our student athletes at Central about, basically don't be an idiot on social media. And when she was done, I kind of looked at my assistant at the time. I said, we can do this. Like, I don't need to bring somebody in and pay somebody to do this. Like, we can do this. So we put something together and we started giving it to our student athletes. And a friend of mine who was the athletic director in Simsbury said, like, hey, I heard that you do this, and maybe, like, would you want to come and talk to my student athletes? So I said, sure, I'll come and do it. And I was still trying to get it right and figure out how to do it. So I went and I did it, and the principal was there, and the principal said, hey, like, you got to talk to everybody. He's like, you can't just do the athletes. You got to talk to everybody and come back to the school and do everybody. So I said, sure, I'll come back to the school and do everybody. So I did it. And then there was a point in time where I was doing 25 or so a year. I always promised my kids I would never go where they were, because I didn't want to embarrass them by having their dad be up on stage. But I've been to Bristow a couple times. I've done some different nights at Conard before my kids were there. I've been all over the state, everywhere from Richfield. Can you
give our listeners like a little, what would be the breakdown, the key takeaways? Because I know it's like, was it take this play off?
So that, at that time. So it was really teaching students and athletes and kids that it's okay to step away from it.
You ever hear the acronym THINK? TH? Like,
yeah. That was part of my
it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And if you wanted to say it in front of your grandmother, would you say it online?
Yeah. So think was a big. It would actually hashtag everything with the thing. So is it true, helpful, necessary, and kind? What's the I? True, helpful,
intelligent, inconsiderate.
No, I don't remember. How about that? It's been so long since I've given the speech. I forget what it was. True or thoughtful, helpful. I don't remember. Necessary and kind. So.
When you look up THINK, the internet safety, THINK, it's an acronym.
This is not great for my reputation of doing this if I can't think of the
but I think it's great.
And
no, you spoke in front of.
It was basically, don't be an idiot on social media, but not saying it.
What do you got? T.
Inspiring. Okay. Yeah.
Inspiring. Is it true? Is it
true,
helpful?
Inspiring, necessary, and kind.
It's beautiful.
So it was, and it was really to try to get the kids to understand that it's okay to step away for a little bit, and you're going to make a mistake. You're going to do something dumb, or you're going to say something that you regret, or and we would talk, and I would do not only the students in school, but then sometimes I'd go back at night and talk to the parents, and. It was good to talk to the parents, but a lot of times the parents that attend those are not necessarily the parents that would need to be there and listen to it. But it was, and the stories I heard from parents about the addiction that their kids had to it, their inability to step away, because what you're looking at is not real, right? Facebook is, I have friends that call it fake book because everything is perfect on Facebook, right? Everybody's family looks perfect. Everybody makes the best decisions. And that's not real, and to help them understand that it's not real, and but that the fear of missing out, the FOMO, is real. Kids who, they think, oh, I'm in this friend group, and then all of a sudden you look and all of those other friends are doing something else, and you're looking at it on social media, and it affects kids, and just trying to help them understand and how to make good decisions. We talked a lot about making good decisions, and stepping away from it sometimes is the best way to make good decisions. But it's hard. It's hard because these kids are growing up in a world where there's a video camera and a camera everywhere they go, and they can't make a mistake without, the kicker from the Bills that missed that kick the other night is going to be, he had to delete his social media this week because he's getting death threats, and everything you do is on camera now.
Yeah, and it gives everyone a voice, even people that shouldn't really have a voice.
Everyone's an expert, right?
Yeah.
I joke all the time that we need to put okay, here's our college basketball team, or here's our NFL team. And instead of hiring the people who know how to coach and who know how to game plan and know how to do things, we're going to take an NFL team, and we're going to take the loudest voices on Twitter who know everything, right? Who know when to call timeout, who know what the right play is to call, who knows it, and we're going to let them coach that team.
Ooh. And
we're going to see how that team does. Right? And the poor people that have to play for those people, but everyone has, everyone has the answer, and it's, unfortunately, we're in a world where, you can't just you can't make a mistake without somebody harping on it, and so we're trying to limit those mistakes. But I was also trying to help parents understand and help kids understand that the kids are going to use this stuff. So let's teach them how to use it safely and effectively, instead of saying, no, you can't do this. Because guess what? They're smarter than we are, and they're going to figure out a way to do it, right? If you don't, that's why we always talked about how old is old enough to have a phone or to use social media. And, I was always under the impression, or it was my thought and my wife's thought, that we would have those conversations with the kids to say, okay, if you're going to use this, here's how we're going to use it, right? You're going to let me follow you. It's my phone. I'm just letting you use it. And I can look at it anytime I want. And, just helping them understand what can go wrong and make sure that they use it safely, and just, give them the tools to use it safely. And then just hoping that they're using it the best way that they can. But it's scary. It's a scary world.
Yeah, they said back in the day, before you got a car, you had to take a driving class, a license, and now you're giving a kid the world on their phone at 13. There should be a class. There should be some instruction. There should be some boundaries, some structure, because you just hand the kid a phone. Who knows what they're looking up or what they can do?
Yeah. And they're going to find a way to. They're going to find a way to do it, even if you don't get them that phone. right? Because now, especially, right, how many old iPhones do you have sitting in your house, right? I think I looked the other day. I think we have 6 or 8 that are just sitting there, right? Well, they don't have to be phones, right? I've had parents come and tell me stories after I spoke with parent groups, and they come in and say, well, we took her phone away and she got another one. It's like, yeah, she's smart. Like, she understands. She knows her friend has an old phone and she can hop on your Wi-Fi or your neighbor's Wi-Fi and she can figure out how to do it.
It sounds like almost like an addiction,
absolutely.
like it's a drug.
100%.
So you're finding a way,
100%.
scrapping, whatever you have to do to get on this social media. Because and
a lot of it is that fear of missing out, that fear of not knowing, right? And I tell my kids all the time, and it makes me feel super old. Like, we would leave school at 3:00 or whenever we leave, and we wouldn't talk to the kids until the next day. Right?
Yeah,
could you imagine? But it's
you didn't need to know their whereabouts.
No, and we talk. I talk a lot to our student athletes when I was doing it about oversharing, and you don't need to. Nobody needs to know what you had for breakfast. Or nobody cares. They don't need to see the picture.
Yeah,
they don't need to put it up there. Yeah, we should have taken that picture. Friends of Feeney Instagram. Here's the pizza we had. So I did that for probably about 10 years or so. And
I'm glad. I wanted to talk to you about that because I think that is being a teacher, being a parent, being on social media. I see it. I feel it. I think it's very important. The THINK is a wonderful acronym people should live by. I know you spoke to 50 schools. At one point in time, you spoke in front of 1,000 people at some conference or something, right? Yeah.
So I think I ended up doing over 100 different schools, whether it's college student athletes or high schools or middle schools, or I think I did an elementary school once, and I asked the elementary school kids how many of them were on Snapchat, and more than 3/4 of the kids raised their hand in elementary school. And I was
kids with cell phones. It's third grade,
right? Well, and I had a teacher come up to me and said, at one point, the teacher told the kid couldn't do something, and the kid walked away and went to their cubby or whatever, and they came back like 30 seconds later and said, my mom wants to talk to you. had the phone. So I did about 100 different schools. I forget the second part of what we were talking about when it came to that.
No, big 1,000 conference.
I did it. It was one of the CIAC high school sportsmanship conferences, or one of those, and talk to them. But yeah, I enjoy getting up in front of people. It doesn't bother me. So
what's your trick for public speaking? What's your takeaway?
I've just always been comfortable. So in my class, it's let's get you to the comfort level where you can be. Some people talk really, really fast because they get nervous. Some people talk really, really slow because they get nervous. What we try to emphasize is avoiding filler words. So the ums and uhs, and my biggest one is
right.
So my goal is to try not to say. I say a lot. When you're in between thoughts, you say a lot. But the to me pops up when I do things like this.
Oh yeah.
And I don't realize it, so I actually make a conscious effort to try not to do
or
it.
Something?
If I go back and watch this when it comes out and I hear myself doing it, I'll have to turn it off.
It'll
drive me crazy.
Or your nose? Which one?
No, the ums are
fine. We're gonna count as your nose,
no,
right?
Yeah.
Is that a Rhode Island?
Remember
thing?
pop-up video? Right? When I was on VH, you can do that. Every time I say it, you can pop it up on the video. She will really earn her money then. Then.
Ooh, pop-up video. We're doing that.
I don't know if it's I actually heard. I was listening to Dooley do it, and Dooley was a big so maybe it is a Rhode Island thing.
I think it's a Rhode Island thing.
Could be. That and coffee milk.
Oh yeah, yeah. Where's the coffee milk? There's a spot you can get a meal.
Newport Creamery, Awful Waffles. The shakes. Yeah.
I just saw that somewhere.
So I was big on coffee. Coffee ice cream, still my favorite. Coffee ice cream with chocolate sprinkles, I will take over any meal, any day. From Carvel.
Carvel.
The Carvel in Newington. Coffee ice cream with chocolate sprinkles, any day. But we grew up with coffee milk, so my kids do chocolate milk. But we had, it was Autocrat syrup, and it was a coffee syrup that you put in and you drink coffee milk.
Yeah, that's a Rhode Island
thing. That is a Rhode Island thing, yeah.
What about Franklin Ave in Rhode Island? It's the Italian spot. There's like a really good.
Oh, is that like?
No, not Franklin Ave. Federal Hill.
Oh,
excuse me. Providence. Yeah,
yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah,
Hartford.
I never went there
Federal Hills.
much, but I mean, I go there now if we play Brown or something in that area, like around that area.
And Dave and Buster's, that was like the first
that was not
one
there.
in the mall.
That was not there when I was there. So that mall, the Providence Place Mall, was not there. So
Really?
I went to school as a freshman, and I was really only home during the summers. And I moved out.
Where
right
are you
after
from,
I graduated.
Providence? So I know, like
North, about 20 minutes north.
okay.
Yeah.
How about the bug? The
The big
mosquito.
blue bug.
The bug is amazing.
Yeah,
I
right on 95.
would go to Cape Cod.
Yeah,
I have all these Polaroids of the bug or
it
pictures.
was in
of
Dumb
the
and
bug.
Dumber.
And it was in Dumb and Dumber.
They're from Rhode Island. That's
Farley
why.
Brothers are from Rhode
Yeah,
Island.
there's pictures of my hometown. Well, my hometown was a big mill town, and at the beginning, when he's driving the shaggin' wagon through the mill areas, that's my.
When it first flies over the bump.
So
And then
yes,
throws all the
so
dogs
in that,
around?
in that area was in my hometown.
That's
in
Woonsocket?
Woonsocket, yeah.
Ah.
But then if you watch how they're driving, you know that it was 5 different things that they filmed. Like it's not one road, right?
Ah.
They're doing that road,
Like
and then they go by the bug, and then they go a different way on the highway, and it's like you're not even going the right way.
They
All
just show
Rhode
the
Island-
whole state.
All the Rhode Island people watching are
Interesting.
Yeah, so they throw a little bit of Rhode Island in all of their
Oh yeah.
and all their things.
I saw outside once the Yukon Rensselaer Field had alumni game, Hartford Whalers alum versus Bruins alum,
Right.
and the Farley brothers was the goalie,
Oh yeah,
and it must have been negative 10 degrees, and my buddy Greeny and I and the Farley brothers were yelling all the quotes. So you're saying there's a chance?
I'm sure they don't get tired of that at all.
Oh, they were like Farley brothers, and he finally looked at us like, come on, already we get it. You totally redeemed yourself. And then there's a couple from Something About Mary. There's a couple. We just try to exhausted the list.
The brother from Something About Mary is I think he's from my hometown. I don't know his name, but the
good old Rhode Island.
Yeah.
And my sister lived in Westerly for a little bit. She went to Rhode Island.
my hometown is big hockey hometown. So Mount St. Charles High School is a big hockey high school. There were a couple guys that I grew up with that went on to play. One was a top draft pick in the NHL, and the other one was a goaltender for the Flyers for a number of years. I never played hockey, and my brothers never played hockey. We might have been the only boys in town that didn't play hockey.
So you did story. You talk about storytelling and public speaking. You know, Matt Dix, a teacher at the school, does Speak Up. Would you ever do a Speak Up?
I'd be interested in doing it.
It's like like the Moth. You tell an 8-minute story.
Yeah.
It should go from start to finish. And there's a storytelling game. It's called First, Last, Best, Worst.
Okay.
So let's do that with central games or central activities or events, sporting events, activities, games. Your first one as maybe AD, your last one as AD, your best one as an AD, and your worst one as an AD.
Oh boy. I don't remember my first one as the AD. How about that? That's funny. It was probably it must have been a basketball game because it was December of 2019, so it must have been a basketball game. I remember my first event at Central, so it was fall of 2002, was a football game at New Hampshire. So I remember that. That didn't go well. I remember that. We weren't very good in football back then when I first started. My last was Sunday afternoon. Our women played Long Island University. And then actually on TV that night, our men played at Long Island University in Brooklyn.
Oh, that's cool.
So that was the last. What's our other one? Best
and worst. Hi.
There's lots of bests. Maybe best and most memorable is 07 men's basketball beat Sacred Heart at home to win the conference championship and go to the NCAA tournament.
Oh, that's right.
We played Ohio State out in Kentucky, so I had a chance to go to Rupp. Greg Oden was on Ohio State. We lost by 20, but we played really well. So
Did you cover?
I have no idea. I don't
Silly
get. You know what?
question.
I can't.
Come on, how you doing?
I can't do that stuff, but I don't do that stuff and never have. But I can't because of my job. So, but that stuff has changed so much in the last.
So Greg
5
Oden,
years.
you played Greg Oden.
Yeah,
he was the number 1 pick.
he was.
And then unfortunately had terrible
Injuries,
knees
yeah.
and injuries.
Yeah, he's an assistant now. I think at Ohio State.
No
I
way.
think he's at
That's
Ohio
great.
State. Or no, you know what? He might be at. He might be he's wherever Thad Matta is right now, because Thad Matta was the Ohio State coach.
He's not
then.
Ohio State anymore, but he was.
Yeah.
It's terrible people call him a bust, but when it's injuries.
I get a kick out of, and people say it all the time, right? Like, oh, this quarterback is terrible, right? And I'm a Patriots fan, so.
Can you grab the Korean rings? You want to have some wings? Come on.
Sure. I'm a Patriots fan, so people like to pick on Mac Jones, right? And say,
Thank you.
Mac Jones isn't good. And so you don't understand how good.
Oh my goodness.
He is. You have no idea how good he is. It's just that the Patrick Mahomes of the world and the Aaron Rodgers of the world and Tom Brady's of the world are just light years ahead of where some of those people are. But the people that you say aren't good, like Ryan Leaf, you say, oh, well, Ryan Leaf was a bust because Peyton Manning was was a Hall of Famer.
Yeah.
But how good they were is just unbelievable. I mean, it's just hard to fathom. So people think that they say, oh, Greg Oden was a bust. Well, he's a bust in the sense that he didn't become a superstar, but how good those guys are at those sports is just unreal. And then worst
doesn't help that Durant was number 2. Outshining.
Well, yeah, and then when you have to make the right, because the question was who you're going to draft, Peyton or Leaf, and it's like, okay, well, one, like, they couldn't have gone in more opposite directions.
They say it came down to it. I don't know if you heard this or fact or fiction, but they asked the Colts, who had the number 1 pick, Colts or Chargers. They asked they were like, what are you going to do with your money?
Peyton went first, right?
Yeah, what are you going to do with your money? And Ryan Leaf was like, I'm going to buy a car. I'm going to buy my mom a house. And Peyton answered was like, I don't know. I'm really just excited to get the playbook and start studying to be the quarterback.
Yeah.
And they were like, whoa, sold. Like, that we're multiple reasons, but
and
he was more focused.
A lot of that stuff is, I think with CJ Stroud, is that his name, from the Texans, that just had an incredible rookie year. Well, it came out that he didn't do well on one of the tests right before he was drafted, right? Whatever test it was. And now last week, after he had the incredible rookie year and he had a win, the person who made the test was like, oh, I think maybe we were wrong.
Do you think?
And it's like, but that, maybe we calculated a score wrong or something along those lines. And, there's so many talking heads out there now and to listen to. And, you can go on and see, Mike Francesa, that every time, what's the Twitter with the cold takes or the
freezing hot,
freezing cold takes, right? And every time somebody is wrong, they put it out there like, hey, you were wrong, or Colin Cowherd, it was wrong on this guy, or
he's wrong a lot.
That guy. And, and what do we have left? My worst. I don't know if it's a game, standing in front of that group of student athletes and telling them that we were going to shut down for 2 weeks, and then we didn't play another game for almost 9 months. So the first game back that we played was that winter. We actually opened up at UConn with nobody in the crowd. So me and our strength coach and my boss were there, and there were a couple other people in the crowd, and it was, we were at Gamble, just empty.
Did the players have to wear masks?
No.
Were you wearing masks?
Probably. I don't remember. It's, the difference between now.
It wasn't
and then,
Hurley coaching, right? Or was it Hurley?
It was. Yeah, he was there.
Oh,
yeah.
wow.
So this was fall of 20.
Okay. Trying to get him on the pod. Dan Hurley coming on the pod.
You don't have the hot ones yet?
Would you do? You want to do hot ones? You ready?
No.
I think it's time. Let's get the bomb. You ready for the bomb? Would you do a TED Talk?
I would.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think you'd be perfect for a TED Talk.
I show.
That internet talk would be a good topic, or sports.
I show a TED Talk on the first day of class every semester. I did it yesterday. Yesterday was my first class for this semester of a singer. I'm not going to be able to remember her name, but she has a stutter. So when she talks in front of the group, she stutters, and she explains the stutter, and she talks about the stutter and the problems that she has with speaking and certain like S's and T's and those kind of things. But she does it for about 6 minutes. She stands up there and talks about it. And when she's done, she sings, and she says, why do I sing? She said, because it's impossible to stutter when you sing. And then she sings, and it's this beautiful
No way.
song of Megan Washington is her name. How about that? It just popped into my head.
Very good. Yeah, it was awesome.
This is probably about 10 years old
I got to watch that.
or so, but
Recommend. We're going to put a link on the Megan Washington TED Talk.
yeah, but she's a singer, and I forget what nationality she is, but it's difficult for her to speak, and she stands up there, and so we show that to the students in class to show them that it's okay and that you can get past your fears, and you can, there are things that you can do to help you be more prepared and be up there. And so I do a TED Talk.
Rita Pearson is a teacher for 40 years and a principal. Kids don't learn from people they don't like as an amazing TED Talk. So I would suggest the Rita Pearson one. Building that rapport and that relationship is the most important thing. Making a kid feel comfortable, safe to comfortable to make mistakes. So Rita Pearson, I would highly suggest that one too. So Megan Washington and Ted and Rita Pearson, TED Talks. Yeah, you'd be a good TED Talk. TED Talk X, Rhode Island. They have them in Rhode Island. Come on. What about, so you're a good dad. You're a good brother. You're a good AD. How are you for a neighbor?
You tell me.
Who's to your right? Who's to your right and who's to your left?
Chester's to my right.
Yeah,
Chester and his family. To my right, and to my left is Ed and Cheryl.
Love Ed and Cheryl watch this. Anything to Ed and Cheryl?
Who watch very heavily involved in the youth soccer community. So we see a lot of the coaches come and pick up their stuff, and that's it though. And then you guys kind of diagonal across the street, but I don't know anybody else's name.
I was going to ask you a couple more down.
No, I know the one right across from yours. I forget her name. Right next to Ed and Cheryl, the one house over.
Oh, Kathy.
Yeah, just redid the lawn in the front there.
Kathy, really nice.
Yeah.
What about Dr. Rick that picks up at Ed's with the yellow car?
Well, we know he's got the yellow FJ Cruiser.
You just know.
So that's how you know he's in town. There's two in town.
Number 9. He's number 9.
There's 2 FJ Cruisers in town.
I know you're
yellow.
confused.
Yeah.
He leaves the back up now with his dogs hanging out. So you know.
His daughter Alice played for me one summer with the West Hartford Fury, the travel softball team. Great athlete, fast, good soccer player.
Yeah.
And then Rick was actually Isabella's youth basketball coach when she played one of the basketball leagues at Concord.
He was intense. He was a good coach.
Oh, yeah.
I talked to him like, what are you doing here?
Yeah.
It was silly how you had to put your team in beforehand. You had your third quarter lineup you had to put in.
Yeah.
I didn't like it. I don't know if it helped the sport or hurt the sport. Who knows? That's still up to be decided. Maybe a conversation for another day. But there's ways you can weight your team. Like you just want to throw it out there.
Mm-hmm.
You want to weight it where fourth quarter, kind of have your studs. First quarter, you kind of have your studs. He was good with the math. But then his practices were very intense and intentional as well.
Well, they were and very educational to learn about basketball.
Yes, and I took lots of notes, and going to see his practice very helped me. My wife was the head coach, and I was the assistant coach.
I remember. I think they played at Sedgwick.
Yeah.
At one point with Lucy when Lucy was playing.
We played against both Lucys at one point in time. Maybe they were on the same team or different, but it's challenging. And then they had right after half court, there was a safety line. You couldn't play defense in the safety line. Yeah. You couldn't take a rebound and go full court.
Press. You can't press.
Can't press until 2. Yeah. Who knows? But that's my wife. My wife scored 1,000 points at East Granby High School.
Really?
Yep. So when I met her at Southern, she was on the basketball team.
Okay.
And here I am still trying to play basketball to get that fixed, and she had that. So
she must
main reason I married her.
She must have been before there was a national championship team at Southern at one point in time. It was probably before that.
Before she was 99, 98, and 99. They won, I'm not sure when. But yeah. She actually guarded Nikisha Sales. Nikisha Sales played at Bloomfield. When she was at East Granby, they played each other. I tease her. Keisha Sales only had 50. Yeah. Just
that's it. Just 50.
Just 50. All right. So what minute are we? Hour and 31. Holy cow. Well, this guy's wearing Eastern. All right. What's going on with Eastern? You see this guy?
Yeah.
Oh my god! This is the.
So
does
when
he
people
know who you have?
when people walk around, our place at Central, and they wear other schools' stuff, I'll run in my office and grab something for them and say, "All right, you're here now. You wear this now." So,
does he know who you are? How
probably
dare
not.
this guy?
I don't think very many people know who I am.
How dare this guy?
Yeah.
Hour and 30. We usually shoot for 50 minutes with Feeney. In this hour and a half, I know you're a busy man with the athletic. How many emails do you think you got as athletic director?
In this hour and a half?
Yeah.
Well, we did it kind of after hours. I probably get 100 to 150 a day.
A day. 100.
Yeah.
Do you prioritize them, or do you just try to respond to them all? What's the strategy?
It depends. They're very different. A lot of them are sales things and people trying to pitch stuff to our athletic department. Some will be internal, to get stuff done at work. So I don't like, you saw when I looked at your phone, I shook a little bit earlier because you have the little bubbles up saying you have this many unopened emails or this many missed calls, or I can't have it.
I mean, it's only 128 texts and 20,000 emails.
Yeah.
You can't live with 20,000 emails?
No, I don't know. The text would drive me more, because at least the emails, there's probably a lot of junk emails in there that you're not opening and all junk. But the texts are what would drive me nuts.
Well, before we do closing remarks, I know tomorrow is National Compliment Day. Do you know there's a National Compliment Day?
There's a National Everything Day, and there's actually a site that you can go on to say, okay, today is, because it's probably 4 different days, right? It's probably National Compliment Day. It's probably Don't Drink from a Plastic Straw Day. Cheeseless Pizza Day, and
last Friday was National Popcorn Day.
Yeah, and there's every day has 4 or 5 National this day or National that day. So
National Compliment Day is celebrated every January 24th. All right, it's observed, and we celebrate tomorrow, National Compliment Day. I want to compliment Stefania for being a wonderful producer / recorder / videographer.
The most impressive thing is that she kept her cool when things didn't go as expected.
Right?
That's the key.
Ultimate compliment.
That's the key. If you can keep your cool when things don't go as expected and you have to adjust on the fly, that's huge. 'Cause not everybody can do it.
Yeah, if you can't control yourself, it's like, what else can you control? Jocko Willink is a great guy to listen to. He's like, if you lose your cool, what are you telling everyone around you? So in a professional world, or a parent or a teacher, take a step back, take a breath, and you were very calm.
Right.
I would have been what's going on?
Well, you were like, what's going on? You kept saying, what about this chord and what about that chord? And she was very polite and didn't say to you, like, turn around.
Stay in your lane, Feeney.
Drink your water. You have absolutely no idea what this equipment is, and just let me do my job. She kept her cool there. She didn't slap your hand away. She didn't yell at you. She didn't do anything. She pretended to call somebody like she was actually.
She's like
trying
on the phone. Leave me alone, Feeney.
Yeah.
Well, a sincere compliment has a powerful effect. It instills confidence and validates someone's hard work. And I hope I did that. You can improve someone's mood, and it can go a long way. So tomorrow's National Compliment Day.
There you go. I'll give you one too, and I'll give you Friends of Feeney is one of the most amazing things that I've seen somebody do for other people. We talked before we started talking about when it started, and I was pretty sure I knew when. But to step up and help people when you don't have to. Right, doing something when you don't have to do it is amazing, and we see these things all over cars everywhere, and they popped up on my car when we moved into the neighborhood, and my kids would take it off, and then there was another one on the car, and
I wonder how that happened.
So that's my compliment to you for everything that you do for the people in our community is just incredible. And because again, doing something when you don't have to is when you learn about people and what they truly believe in and who they truly are. And right, it's that person that picks up the trash and when they walk by it and throws it away instead of looking at it and not right. We had a student athlete. We have a transfer student athlete who just came in who's supposed to be pretty good, and they think everybody's really good, right? This is going to be a difference maker. He's going to be, and we were talking in the hallway, and the two of us were walking together because there's certain student athletes that I want to meet and know. I try to know all 425, but I can't. And as we were walking by, he stopped and he picked up the piece of trash and he threw it in the trash can. And I thought, all right, we're going to be okay.
Yeah, that's all you really need to do.
Because he didn't have to do it. That's huge. So,
well, thank you very much. Yeah, it means a lot. Wonderful people in the community like Luna Pizza. Athletic directors are an important role, and you're changing the lives of the youth in athletics. I'm honored to talk with you. It was a really wonderful time. I appreciate your compliment. Tomorrow's National Compliment Day. 11 years ago, one of my students lost their dads. I'm from a divorced family. I knew how it was not to see my dad every once in a while. I could never imagine not seeing him again. I empathized and I helped out. And since then, we've helped over 35 families and raised over $150,000. All community-based volunteers. I'd like to thank my board, Rob Parenti, Marty Keena, Matt Heller, Jen Lambert. It's just amazing. Nancy Sohn. Nancy Sohn is our secretary. Nancy Sohn is the woman we started it for. So I had Gabby, Nancy's husband, and Gabby's dad, Sam, passed away. It's 12 years ago now.
Yeah, my kids were 8, 6, and 4 at the time. So two were in school with at that time when it happened in the same school.
Yeah. I don't know. I was a new parent. My girls were in kindergarten. We did GoFundMe. We marched in the Park Road Parade. Someone said, we call them, all these kids marching with Feeney, we'll call them Friends of Feeney. It stuck, and here we are. I didn't expect it to go into a nonprofit. I didn't expect about the magnets, and I thought a short little motto, be a good friend, was cute and funny and fitting and very simple but effective. So that's why if you don't have a magnet on your car, you will have one tomorrow. Tell the girls. Kidding, but just if everyone was a better friend, the world would be a better place. Drive like a friend. Pick up trash that's not yours.
Don't get me started with driving.
Yeah, we're gonna try to get that going.
People cannot drive.
I think I'm gonna put signs up around. Drive like a friend.
Oh, it's awful, and it's awful. And then when your kids start driving, that's when you start.
I know I have 1 year. I'm like so nervous.
Yeah, that's why we bought where we did, because the kids were going to be able to back out of the driveway without having to worry about too much traffic. And that if they needed to get to the highway, they could take a right.
And take a right and a right and go to school.
Right. Yep.
Well, again, wonderful talking with you. I appreciate the compliment. Thank you to Direct Line Media. Thank you to Luna Pizza and all of our other sponsors. I hope to see everyone February 12th. It's our 100th podcast. We're going to be at Playhouse on Park. It's going to be live. Frank Whaley, and some surprise guests. I can't tell anymore, but Frank Whaley. Frank Whaley. Say what again? Any closing remarks?
No, I don't know that anyone's gonna still be listening at this point. We just found out we were talking for over an hour and a half, so I'm not sure there's much left to say.
So I can't thank you enough. On 3, we'll say be a good friend. 1, 2, 3. Be a good friend.